Hey, everyone, let's dive right into this explainer, where we're going to demystify the absolute, incredible scale of global defense spending. We hear these massive, jaw-dropping numbers in the news all the time, right? But to actually understand where all that money goes, well, we've got to look way past the public announcements and straight into the shadows.
$1.5 trillion. Just let that number sink in for a second. This staggering figure is the highly public U.S. defense budget request for fiscal year 2027. It's a historic, mind-boggling amount of money. But as we're going to see today, it is literally just the tip of the iceberg, because hiding behind these stated public figures is a completely different, highly classified world.
So here's our agenda to help us make sense of the whole shebang. First, the new defense paradigm. Second, inside the black budget. Third, expanding Area 51. Fourth, next-gen weapons and tech. And finally, number 5, fact versus fiction. Let's get right to it.
All right, Section 1, the new defense paradigm, the stated $1.5 trillion plan.
We're starting at the surface level with the highly visible public priorities that were outlined in the Secretary of War's historic FY 2027 testimony. This really illustrates the administration's broad public focus. We're talking about everything from an advanced aerial defense system called the Golden Dome to domestic border security operations focused on stopping illegal crossings. They're also prioritizing an end to what the testimony specifically calls woke curricula in military schools, alongside a massive multi-year push to buy munitions and supercharge the defense industrial base.
The Secretary of War actually summed up this major shift, what they're calling a flexible realism approach, perfectly. The quote is, "We will define our vital interests in ways that are reasonable, that make sense to ordinary Americans." Basically, they are explicitly prioritizing concrete, practical interests over these open-ended global interventions. The whole goal is to explain defense strategies in a way that directly translates to the everyday safety of citizens.
Moving on to Section 2, inside the black budget, dipping below the surface.
Okay, so now let's plunge below the waterline and explore where the unacknowledged money actually goes. A black project is essentially an unacknowledged special access program. The absolute defining feature here is that it's entirely shielded from public view. Thanks to mechanisms like the CIA Act in the United States, these programs are legally authorized to completely bypass standard congressional justification. So the public, and honestly even most lawmakers, literally have no idea they even exist.
Now, obviously, the exact numbers are classified, but historical estimates give us a really good sense of the sheer scale here. Just consider this. Back in 2007, the estimated U.S. black budget was about $30 billion. By 2011, it had nearly doubled to $56 billion. Now, fast forward to today. Keeping in mind that massive $1.5 trillion public budget for 2027, you can bet that the hidden funding today is absolutely astronomical. And if you're sitting there wondering, well, what exactly does all that secret money buy? Just look at history. Take these iconic aircraft, the F-117 Nighthawk stealth fighter, the B-2 Spirit bomber, and the Mach 3.3 SR-71 Blackbird. These were all black projects. They prove, without a doubt, that revolutionary, multi-billion-dollar technologies can be successfully developed and tested in total secrecy for years by private contractors like Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works, long before the public ever gets a glimpse.
Which brings us to Section 3, expanding Area 51, where the secrets live.
So, where exactly do they build and test all these highly classified projects today? We have to look at the world's most famous secret testing ground, Area 51. And what's wild is how rapidly it's physically expanding. Just think about the recent timeline. Late 2021, they built a massive new high-security backgate checkpoint. 2023, a brand new high-power data center pops up, likely for heavy AI processing. And then, in May 2026, the government executes this massive 23,000-acre land grab around Tikaboo Peak. They literally push the closest public viewing boundaries 26 miles away from the base. That is a massive buffer zone. But it's not just land. Ground observations from researchers reveal some incredibly specific and, frankly, surprising technical upgrades. In September 2024, a 100-foot FM radio tower went up, and it's broadcasting synthetic music during missions. This strongly hints they're developing complex, passive radar jamming tech. Add in a new microwave tower near that AI data center in April 2025, plus North Ramp hangar expansions, and it becomes pretty clear they're actively integrating advanced AI and likely evaluating new Russian or Chinese aircraft right now.
All right, Section 4, next-gen weapons and tech, the future battlefield.
How does all this secret testing translate into future warfare? Well, some of these emerging programs highlight a frankly terrifying dual-use dilemma. Take DARPA's Insect Allies program. The stated DoD goal sounds purely defensive, right? Using insects to disperse genetically modified viruses via genome editing to protect agricultural crops. But scientists at the Max Planck Institute raised a huge red flag. Their fears that this system could easily be pivoted and weaponized as a stepping stone straight into biological warfare.
Meanwhile, the physical battlefield is speeding up, and I mean exponentially. We're talking about hypersonic missiles, which are a major focus of current defense spending. The flight path is crazy. They launch to super high altitudes, and then they sustain travel at speeds above Mach 5. And here's the kicker. Unlike traditional ballistic missiles, they maneuver unpredictably during flight to evade interception. It basically renders traditional air defense systems completely obsolete.
We're also seeing the ultimate AI and space revolution. The military is heavily relying on the space domain for missile warning and navigation. They're pushing for space-based air-moving target indicator surveillance networks. And down in the atmosphere, autonomous, loyal wingman stealth drones. AI is no longer just some corporate buzzword. It is actively being woven into the fabric of warfare, driving logistics, sensor fusion, and rapid decision support.
And finally, Section 5, Fact versus Fiction, Grounding the Speculation.
As we navigate this enormous iceberg of defense spending, you know we've got to separate verified reality from all those wild internet rumors. So what's actually true? Well, multi-billion-dollar classified budgets, hardened underground command centers, and those loyal wingman stealth drones, those are confirmed reality. But the rumors of massive, sprawling, hidden underground cities or secret orbital superweapons, look, as of right now, those remain unsupported fiction without any verified public evidence.
What's also really interesting is how the military is starting to handle strange new threats. They're actually shifting from pure secrecy to a bit of transparency when it comes to anomalous health incidents, what a lot of people know as Havana syndrome. For instance, the military has openly dispersed $3 million to victims, and they've instituted an active cognitive monitoring program across the force to address these bizarre health attacks head-on and establish brain health baselines.
So, what does this all mean for us? Well, history proves time and time again that the impossible, highly classified technologies of yesterday, like the stealth bombers, become the everyday, acknowledged public assets of today. Knowing that and looking at the sheer overwhelming scale of a $1.5 trillion budget, plus the massive physical expansions of places like Area 51, we have to ask ourselves, what world-changing, mind-bending secret project being funded in the shadows today is going to become our everyday reality tomorrow?